Well, good morning. Today we're gonna be working on this big tulip with a crotch up top. We're gonna cut down this tulip right here. Let's see. This one here has a big bad spot in it. So we're gonna get that down. I'm gonna leave these two here. And then we're gonna take this one too. Oh, I hate that. Well, when I was cutting this tree, I wanted to avoid the property line. And it's kind of a weird one. It's like a triangle. I don't know if you guys can see that telephone pole right there. But that's like the point of it. And then it shoots back this way. And I knew if I got in between this dead tree here and that maple that I took out, that it wouldn't be on the line or past the line. But I was off a little bit on my aim, as you can see, and I took out this maple. But I'm not perfect, and we all make mistakes still. It's just irritating. Well, I don't usually jump in and talk about a tree very much, but this one is kind of a wild one. It had that real big bad howl spot going up through it, and the way the tree was leaning, the majority of the howl spot in the side of the tree was where all the weight was. And I had to put a real narrow hinge in it and real shallow as well. And I don't really like doing that. The shallow part doesn't bother me, but the narrow part does. And just because of it did have a little lean uphill too, and they can tend to twist and just break off and go wherever. So that's pretty much where I was at with this tree. I'm trying to get the hinge as wide as I can without going into that huge bad spot. And you never know how solid the tree is inside. You don't know like how much hollowness there is inside. So I was trying to keep the hinge and the notch as shallow as I could as well, because you never know. You could be making your notch and all of a sudden you hit all that bad spot and you have nothing for a hinge. So I kept it real shallow, and let's move on to the next part and I'll jump back in. Most of the time, you guys see me bore cutting through both sides of the tree. I'll do one side, and then I'll usually do the heavy side first, and then I'll jump in and do the light side of the tree afterwards. Meaning, I'll go to the heavy side, like where all the weight is up top, and bore cut that first and work my way to the back. And then I'll go to the light side where there is no weight and bore cut that. And it's just more safety precaution than anything. You don't want to be underneath something that's heavy. But with this tree, like I said before, the weight was kind of uphill, and at the same time it was going along the bank. But the way the tree was, I didn't really have the option. If I was to try bore cutting the other side after I did the heavy side, I probably would have pinched my saw. The tree might have sat down on my saw and I probably would have pinched it. So I put a wedge in just in case. The way the tree was starting to twist and creak a little bit, you couldn't really see it in the video, but I could hear it and see it. I worked my saw around the tree, and now I'm looking up a lot. And it's very important anytime you're dropping a tree like this, or any tree, that you're always looking up to watch that top. That was an interesting one. So you guys watch a tree go down now, and my main focus was looking up and watching that top. I'm watching the top as I'm doing my little cuts. I'm watching the top move a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And besides my hinge, there's my hinge, and then there's a hollow spot, and then there's like another little rounded bubble where the tree became solid again. There was probably about that much hole in it. And when I cut that, that's when the tree released and went. And you guys probably seen the top hit another tree further out, and the base of the tree got stuck down by the stump, and it kind of just sprung low the tree, which caused it to shoot up and shoot back. But I've also had a bunch of you guys ask me about why I bore cut. And this tree, with the amount of pressure and tension it had, and the hollow spot, the hollow spot went up 12, 15 feet. I ended up cutting it off. But the amount of tension that this tree had, if you were to put your notch in it and just do a back cut, that thing would have barber chaired on you in a heartbeat. And I can almost guarantee you that. So I bore cut primarily because I can set the hinge the way I want before the tree goes. I'm not standing right there with the tree cutting as the tree's going down. Another reason why is I told you guys I can set my hinge. You have your trigger hole in the back so you get the whole center of the tree cut out. If you need to throw a wedge in it, throw a wedge in it. And then all you have to do is hit the trigger, and if the tree goes, then you can just walk away from the tree. Whereas a normal conventional back cut, you're there with a tree as it's going down, cutting your hinge down, trying to make your hinge all nice and pretty, instead of setting it before with a bore cut. And you're putting yourself in a lot more danger doing that. And I mean, I'm not saying that the bore cut's for every tree. There's a bunch of trees I do back cut, especially dead trees. Any dead tree I come across that has no good wood at all, I put a notch in it and I back cut it and I let it go the way it's gonna go. So, and one of the last reasons I'll give you guys why I bore cut is because of barber chairs. You can still get a barber cut in a tree if you don't have your hinge set right. You know, if you don't know exactly where your saw is in that tree, and you have a hinge that's this thick, you have a chance it's going to barber chair. And I don't care what you tell me, a straight tree, if your hinge is too thick, can barber chair on you once it starts going. You might have to sit there for half an hour and wedge the dang thing over, but it can still barber chair. So the main reason for the bore cut for me is to get the hinge where you want it. And you don't need a really thick hinge. You just need a nice wide hinge. And sometimes I even, on cherry especially, I cut the sapwood on the outsides, and there's times I bore through the center of my hinge too, so you just have two posts holding it. And that's plenty strong enough. You don't need a big thick hinge. Just get your width. If you ever look at a door hinge, you don't see real narrow hinges on there. They're wide, and then they have 3 screws in them. And that's because a wide hinge is stronger than a narrow one. So keep that in mind if you guys are ever cutting trees and you're not exactly sure what you're doing. But you get your hinge set to where you want, not overly thick because you can barber chair it. And if you're just doing a back cut and the tree, the tree is already leaning the way you want it to go, who's to say that thing isn't going to barber chair on you? You just never know. I mean, you can go on YouTube and type in barber chairs, and you're going to come up with thousands of videos of people doing that. They're going to do the back cut, and then the tree's going to barber chair on them. And some guys go for a ride, some guys are lucky, and well, everyone that survives through a barber chair is lucky. And I'm not saying I haven't done it because it has happened to me before. But just you learn from your mistakes and you try doing better. So another thing too with the thick hinges is fiber pull, and also from back cutting. When you're back cutting a tree that starts going and you can only go so much and your saw pinches and you have all this fiber pull, then what? What, you gonna chop off a foot of the butt because you pulled out 10-12 inches of fiber? You're losing out. If you buy the timber, you're losing out on a foot of that butt, and it's not going to veneer because of all that fiber you pulled. So just keep that in mind when you guys are dropping timber for people or yourself. Just try your best and do your best each and every day. There's a few reasons for you guys on why I bore cut, and I'm not going to stop bore cutting. It's my preferred way of cutting, and it's the safest way I've came across, and the only way I'll stop bore cutting is if I come across something safer. So, but all right, on to the video. Hope you enjoyed my lecture. That landed perfect. Base didn't explode. Didn't take out any unnecessary trees. Well, there we have it. Just sold another bunch of logs. Goes about almost 9,000 feet. And there's the other bunch of logs as well. Boy, I love having a dozer here to push them up. Makes life so much easier. But I hope you all have a blessed day, and thanks for watching.